In the early 1600s, Europe was driven by a hunger for wealth, land, and new opportunities. For England, this drive led to the exploration of the uncharted territories of the New World, a land of promise, danger, and the unknown. And in 1607, the English would establish their first permanent colony in the Americas, Jamestown, Virginia. But Jamestown's founding wasn't simply about settling new land. It was a gamble for survival. The colony would face challenges that would test the resilience and ingenuity of its settlers, laying the foundation for the future of British colonization in North America. The quest for new lands was not just a dream for a few adventurers, but a mission fueled by England's desire for riches. The Virginia Company, a joint stock company, was formed in 1606 to fund the colonization of Virginia, with hopes of finding gold, precious metals, and other riches like Spain had found in the Americas. This was no ordinary expedition. King James I of England had granted the Virginia Company a royal charter to establish colonies in the New World, and they set sail with grand hopes. The settlers aboard were not farmers or experienced explorers. They were looking for fortune, many hoping to strike it rich. Led by Captain Christopher Newport, the fleet of 3 ships, Susan Constant, Godspeed, and Discovery, set sail from England in December 1606, making the treacherous journey across the Atlantic. The journey would take them more than 4 months, and their arrival would mark the beginning of one of the most famous settlements in American history. On April 26, 1607, after a long and perilous journey, the settlers arrived at what would become Jamestown, a marshy peninsula along the James River in modern-day Virginia. The area was chosen for its defensible position and access to fresh water, but it also posed hidden dangers. With little knowledge of the region, the settlers quickly built a makeshift fort, naming it Fort James in honor of their king. It was a modest beginning, a small outpost that would soon face numerous challenges. The land was fertile but unfamiliar, and the settlers struggled to grow enough food, while diseases from contaminated water began to take hold. Compounding the colony's difficulties were its interactions with the indigenous peoples of the region, the Powhatan Confederacy. Although initially, the Powhatan people provided some assistance, tensions soon grew as the settlers encroached on their land and resources. The first year in Jamestown was devastating. The settlers were unprepared for the harsh conditions of the New World. The swampy terrain led to outbreaks of disease, and with little food, many of the colonists died from famine and malnutrition. It was a time of great desperation. Out of 104 settlers who arrived in Jamestown, more than half had perished by the end of the first winter. The conditions were so dire that some even resorted to eating dogs, rats, and other animals to survive. The colony's future seemed uncertain. Leadership struggles and internal strife only worsened the situation. The settlers lacked a clear strategy for survival. With no food and little knowledge of farming, their hopes of establishing a profitable colony quickly faded. In the face of death, the colony teetered on the brink of collapse. Just as Jamestown seemed to be on the verge of collapse, a man named John Smith arrived. Smith, an experienced soldier and explorer, would prove to be one of the most important figures in the colony's survival. Smith's leadership brought order to the chaotic settlement. He enforced strict discipline, demanding that everyone contribute to the colony's survival, whether it be building, hunting, or farming. He famously declared, "He who does not work shall not eat." Smith also made contact with Powhatan, the leader of the powerful Powhatan Confederacy. At first, relations were tense. Smith was captured, but later, according to legend, he was spared by Powhatan's daughter, Pocahontas, in an act of mercy. This legendary moment, though debated by historians, highlighted the tenuous nature of relations between the settlers and the indigenous peoples. Powhatan eventually provided aid, sending food and supplies to help the struggling settlers. Despite the hardships, the colony eventually found its economic footing with the cultivation of tobacco. John Rolfe, another key figure in the colony's survival, introduced a new strain of tobacco that became highly profitable in England. The success of tobacco farming transformed Jamestown. Tobacco became the cash crop that saved the colony, leading to the development of a thriving trade network. This economic shift also marked the beginning of a reliance on indentured labor and, eventually, enslaved Africans, which would have long-lasting effects on the region. Despite its early struggles, Jamestown laid the foundation for British colonization in North America. It was the first permanent English settlement, and its success opened the door for further exploration and expansion. As more settlers arrived, the colony grew, and its hardships were slowly overcome. Over time, Jamestown's success paved the way for the future British colonies of the New World, including Maryland, the Carolinas, and Georgia. Today, Jamestown stands as a symbol of resilience and the beginning of a new chapter in American history. It was a settlement born of hardship, but its survival and eventual success were pivotal in the story of British colonization. Though its beginnings were fraught with adversity, Jamestown would become a foundation upon which the future of America would be built, forever shaping the nation that would emerge centuries later. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from history.